This will be an enormous weekend for not only the Giants as far as this season goes, but more importantly, BT, the future of the head coach. We've discussed it the last couple of weeks. We know the Giants have not only, been losing every week, it seems, this year. Obviously 1-5, haven't scored a touchdown, which is hard to believe. Haven't scored an offensive touchdown since week 3, that Thursday night game in San Francisco. This has been an embarrassment. After a divisional round appearance last year, it has been an embarrassment in year 2 for Brian Daboll. And I don't see how there's any way possible that if the Giants lose this game at home to the Commanders Sunday at 1 o'clock, how we cannot start to question Brian Daboll and maybe start putting him in the same conversation with Pat Shurmur, with Joe Judge, and where the I know it's that. Dude,
is this how we're starting the show today?
I mean, if you can't, now I believe in Daboll, you know that, but if you can't beat the Washington football team at home, you're looking at 2 wins max the rest of the way.
Yep.
And I don't care what the circumstance is with the roster, who's injured on the offensive line, quarterback, running back. To do what they did a year ago because of Daboll, there's no way you should have the drop-off from that to what it could potentially be here if they lose this game to Washington on Sunday.
Okay. First of all, I think they're going to lose.
What?
I do. I've said that I've kind of hinted at that all week. Oh, God.
See,
This is a very, very interesting point in the year to have this conversation. And I get why you bring it up. I do. I promise. I do. And not out of bounds. I want to be clear about that.
And by the way, I'm not saying they're going to fire him.
Understood.
What I'm saying is that just like we questioned Daniel Jones and we're still not sure what he is in year 5,
yeah.
I think it's instead of saying they definitely have Shane and Daboll, now we're not so sure about that combination.
See, I would need the third year to split the difference. I mean, the Daniel Jones comparison, that's 5 years. He's been here. He's got a lot of stuff on tape. Some good, obviously. Some very confounding. Couple of injuries. We know Daniel Jones' path. But when I look at Daboll, I'm not going to lie to you. I am confused because the first year was such an overachievement. And I don't know if this is an underachievement, which I don't think that it is, or merely a roster devoid of talent getting their heads smashed every week. And at that point, how do I really blame Daboll? I hate being in the middle.
Good coaches find a way, though.
I know. I hate being torn, and I hate not really having a defined position. But I guess my ultimate position is I still believe in the guy. I believe in Daboll. I do. And I know that I've been on the record.
And you think they're going to lose?
I do think they're going to lose. I do. But Washington's better.
Oh dude, what game are they going to win?
Who's playing the offensive line for the Giants? Zoo and...
It doesn't matter.
And Gio and me
on
the end. Who?
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand all
that. That matters.
Enough with the excuses. If they can't beat Washington at home, so you're going to back a head coach that could potentially have a 1-16 season or a 2-15 season?
What happened with Jimmy Johnson with the Dallas Cowboys back in the day, first year, 1 win? What happened with Coach K at Duke back in the day, almost fired?
Right, but you saw the climb, right?
Yeah. The
first year should be the worst.
Well, you did see the climb, and this is why it's very hard to split the hairs here. God, there's so much nuance. The first year if last year was this year, and then there was at least some incremental progress this year, nobody would be really saying anything.
Right.
But Daboll's, I don't want to use the word genius. That seems a bit much, but I'll use it now loosely translated. Daboll's influence on last year changes how we view the guy this year. That's not fair.
Well, it's
almost not fair.
Every time we talk about the Giants' success, and I try to say I believe in them this year, and obviously I've been proven wrong because they've been a disaster. What do you say? You say, well, what did they do well last year? What was the thing that we always talk about the Giants did well last year?
They protected the football. They cut down on penalties, and they capitalized in tight games.
Okay, and what is that?
And they overachieved at the end of the day.
Okay, and what's that all a reflection of? Yes!
Yeah.
Okay, so then look at it this year. How are they getting smacked every single week, essentially? It's a reflection of the coaching. The special teams has been atrocious. Offensively, they don't score. Like, dude, they haven't scored an offensive touchdown since the Thursday night game in San Francisco. How is that even possible? Like, by accident, score a garbage touchdown. I mean, come on.
Okay.
That's a reflection of the coach. They didn't tackle for weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's good. That's if somebody was to side with you, and I think some people will, that's important what you just said. The tackling.
Now I know
That's effort.
Sunday night was a much better effort. They still lost. Oh, and by the way, what happened again with the mismanagement going into halftime? Like, who's that on? It's on the coach. Like, there are signs this year, because it's so bad, off of last year what was so good, there are signs of doubt. And if they don't win this game Sunday, how can I continue to believe in Brian Daboll? All my belief in him, thinking that he's the guy, loved him last year, going to get the Giants to be competitive this year.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose at home to the Commanders, dude, you can't back them.
Oh, okay, but first of all, the Commanders aren't the Bears. I mean, they're not the Arizona the Arizona Cardinals. The Bears are. Jeez, I'm getting all mixed up with these, getting all twisted with these teams here. Just like Daboll's twisted me. I don't even know what to think because I like the guy, but he's giving me real pause this year. The Commanders are good, dude. They're going to have the best wide receiver on the field. They're going to have the best defensive end on the field. And they're going to have the better quarterback on the field. So, to me, those things are irrefutable. That doesn't mean the Giants can't steal one, but to think that the Giants have to win against the Commanders, otherwise it's this deep referendum on Daboll, I don't agree with that. I don't think that that's fair.
How many wins do you think the Giants have if they don't? You don't think they're going to win this game, so how many wins do you think they're going to end up with?
I think they're going to finish with 3, 4, 5 absolute max.
Dude, 3, 4, 5?
Well, I think they'll beat the Patriots. I do. Patriots at MetLife with the Patriots
that gives them
quit,
2.
basically. I think they could beat the Packers when Daniel Jones is back and healthy that game.
You think the Packers and the...
I think Washington's better.
And the Packers?
I do.
Oh, my God.
I do.
And even New England. Like, I know Washington...
New England stinks.
Yeah, but Washington, come on, dude.
But here's the... I got to get back to something, Sal, because
sorry.
I think you raised something really interesting. And this is why it becomes, honestly, hard to give such a definitive opinion. And I know we're in the business of giving definitive opinions, but sometimes there's a little shade of gray. And the shade of gray is this. So we just talked about what made the Giants so, special or good or how they overachieved a year ago. And I told you, they protected the football, the exact opposite of the previous year. They committed far fewer penalties. They were locked in tight games, and they won those games. Okay, we know that. Staples of coaching. Parcells went somewhere. He cleaned that up. Wins came. That's generally how you get a bad team to a competitive team. Protect the ball.
Especially early on.
Especially
the
first
thing
year.
you do.
Yes. Now, while that's true, now let's go to opening night, week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Andrew Thomas, while he was still healthy, he's phenomenal. He's one of the best left tackles in football. He commits, was that a false start or a holding?
Whatever, that sent him back right out of the gate.
It was the first drive.
It was the beginning of the end of the Giants season.
And they were moving the football. Is that Daboll's fault? I don't think so. Saquon Barkley has a pass ricochet off his shoulder pads. Pick. I mean, it goes on Daniel Jones' ledger. Is that Brian Daboll's fault?
No, but we throw week 1. I mean, I did throw it out, even 40-0, whatever, you throw it out. Week 2, Arizona. How do you explain that start? The fact that it took a miracle for them to come back in the second half. And look, I've been backing them saying that second half was, I thought they were going to build off of that.
Yeah.
Dude, how do you excuse after what happened week 1, the start in Arizona?
I can't. And that's why it's...
They were getting run over.
Perplexing.
They were getting run over. Like, that's the game that you needed to, you know what, the first game was an
aberration. Come out, jump on them 17-3.
Now,
at least show us that the 40-zip whitewashing was a little misleading.
So think about this. Even the game they won, which was that game, the one game that they won, they came out and looked like garbage in the first half against one of the worst teams at the time in the league with Arizona. Inexcusable. And you could talk about their schedule, fine. Seattle, Monday night at home, is not a game where you shouldn't be able to compete and win that game. And they didn't.
They competed. They just didn't win.
Well, but,
if Daniel Jones is knocking on the door for a touchdown, again, Daniel Jones makes a horrendous play. At the end of the day, that's on Daniel Jones. You want to tell me Daboll didn't coach him up enough? I don't think that that's fair. He's a 5-year player. See what's in front of you. Understand to make the right play.
BT, again, and no offensive touchdowns. Like, they're knocking on the door. And I watched the game, and I bet a lot of money on that game. That was the previous, hey, it's now or never game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants, I never felt like we're in that game.
Yeah.
You just never. I know the game was close. You never felt like they were going to win that game. It was always, oh, man, they're teetering on going the wrong way.
Yep.
And Seattle, Geno getting hurt, whatever it may be, kept them in it. Look, that was a problem, too. I know they've been somewhat competitive, last week, last Sunday, whatever, but like, dude, this has been ugly here. They've got to win a football game.
Let me summarize it this way, and then I know people want to jump in and get these calls, right? So I know we've had a million football conversations. Try to remember, who did I say would win that Giants-Seattle game?
You said Seattle.
Okay. Who did I say would win week 1? Dallas? Most people did. Dallas or the
Dallas,
Giants?
Yeah.
I said Dallas. This is not about, oh, wow, I got a prediction right now. This is about creating a thread of expectation. I thought their talent base was bad.
Dude.
So if I'm going to latch on to that, which I have from minute 1 of this season, how could I say that they've got the wrong coach or that this is the ultimate point of inflection for I can't say that yet.
Because
Not yet.
If they can't beat Washington at home,
Yep.
they might be a 2-win football team. And I can't back a head coach when he wins 2 games coming off of a postseason the year before where they have more talent this year. Justin is calling from Dobbs Ferry. What's up, Justin?
What's up? What's up, guys? How we doing?
Good.
I mean, going into the season, you're going to think they're going to be somewhat competitive. Zero competitiveness in any of these games. But the biggest thing is, anybody that plays Madden is going to score twice on the goal line there. Like that coach, that's all on the coach. That's not preparing for the goal line. That's not preparing for the green zone. No New York Giants coach is doing that. Tom Coughlin's not losing that.
Yeah, but hold on, Justin. I'll let you make your other point. You're also giving a 12-year veteran a free pass who audibled out of a pass into a run. I mean, I'm not saying that we exonerate Daboll.
But they
come on.
But they need to be in his ear. Like, listen, we got this is a pass only. We need 3 passes on this play. If we don't get the first one, here's the next play. Here's if we don't get it on this first play, here's the next play. Get up the line and call this play. They didn't. Obviously, that didn't get through his head because he didn't know. The guy hasn't played. When's the guy played a real game in the last 5 years? That it really meant something to him.
Yeah, he's rusty, but I don't think the intellect fades. I don't think the recognition fades. Maybe the quick twitch stuff fades. I don't think the mind fades.
No, but I mean that's. But coming again and doing the same that play, they're not going to call another. They're not going to call another pass interference, even if they pull the guy down to the ground. You've got to make a play where
it shouldn't. This is the NFL, and it's parity. And thank you for the call, Justin. There's parity all over the place. It shouldn't be impossible to score an offensive touchdown. Like it's been weeks. Backup quarterbacks, I see them all the time. The kid that I never heard of with Chicago this last weekend, he scored a touchdown, or at least drove the team down the field for a touchdown.
Yeah, Mike White last year.
Oh, okay.
Gardner Minshew every week.
And even the backup quarterbacks in the worst situations find ways to score touchdowns. Like it's not that hard. Even the worst teams, BT, find a way to win. The Bears, one of the worst teams in the league, they beat Washington. Why can't the Giants beat Washington at home on Sunday?
Well, I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying that I don't think that they will.
Right, but if they don't, to me, that is an indictment on the head coach. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt week 1. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt week 3. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt against Miami and against Buffalo. The Giants have to win this game. I think they're 3-point underdogs.
I was gonna, yeah. So you and I love the odds. We bet, we have fun. We'll do our perfect parlay later. Hopefully, hey, by the way, Spike's joining us today.
Yes, we have a little surprise for the perfect parlay.
Yeah. All right, so not that they're always right, but we understand that there's real value because there's intel that's acquired as they create these spreads, right? So if the Giants are supposed to win, why are the Giants basically 3-point dogs at home?
Well, why are the Jets adjusted win total 7.5?
Well, I don't know. But I'm just talking about the Giants
and by
right
the way,
now.
the Jets odds for the playoffs,
Yeah.
It's like to not make the playoffs like minus 500 right now.
To not make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about the Jets right now.
Well, I'm just giving you the odds. I'm shooting down that exact. It shouldn't mean anything, right?
Yeah, but that's a deeper extrapolation because there's 11 more variables because there's 11 more games.
Right,
I'm saying specific to the conversation we're having right now with the Giants and the Commanders. You're telling me if Daboll doesn't win, you'll basically lose all faith, and the whole world, Vegas, is telling you that the Giants shouldn't win.
Well, I think that's an embarrassment that they're at home a 3-point dog to a crappy team.
But that's on Shane. That's a Shane thing. And not a Daboll. I'm not saying Daboll's absolved. He's had a bad year.
Who's the tackling on? Who's the poor tackling on all this year?
I mean, probably the defensive coordinator.
Who's
the position coaches?
Who's blowing the, putting points on
the Wait's
on
been
the board
terrible.
they have? Well, I mean, you're going to make excuses here? Look, I love Brian Daboll. He's front and center here, BT. He's got to take a hit. And if we're not going to give him a hit through the first 6 weeks, if you can't beat Washington Sunday at 1, you are going to take a major hit. Josh is calling from Far Rockaway. What's up, Josh?
Hey, good morning, guys. How are we doing today?
How are you, Josh?
Hey, Josh, what's happening?
Good. I'm good. So I want to tell you the reason why I see Daboll not going anywhere is you look at it's almost like the LeBron effect where he dragged bad teams to the finals and really deep and then got blamed for not winning. We went through 3 head coaches and 2 of them were certified clowns. It took Joe Judge running a quarterback sneak from like his own 25 in the most bizarre press conference of all time and a regime change. And then they were still debating, should we fire this head coach? I just don't see. I don't care if he doesn't win another game. Coming off last year, I don't see any way they move on from him. We are still in a rebuild.
Well, they're
Everyone
not going to. No, they're not going to fire him, Josh. But knowing or not, obviously the Giants are not going to make it. They're not going to fire Brian Daboll.
No, not off this game. No.
I'm talking about end of the year. I don't care if they just win one game. They're not going to fire him. However, you can't tell me that you will have the same faith in Brian Daboll that you did coming into the year as we would now if they lose this game to Washington.
Of course, 110%. But where was he best? Developing a good quarterback, and I think he deserves to get his guy. Like, talk to me in a year from now if they drafted one of those top 2-3 quarterbacks and they win a one game again next year and say, okay, we were all wrong.
Yeah, and by the way, Josh, I haven't. Thanks for the call. I haven't seen Josh Allen looking quite. I know he's had a couple of good games after that Jets game, but between the Jets game where he was awful, the Giants game, that one sick throw aside, he didn't do anything in terms of getting his team in the end zone. I think that he misses Daboll.
Yeah.
Daboll's value is he's got to find his guy, which is why if you listen to yesterday's show, my whole premise was Giants got to take quarterback in the first round within the first 5 or 6 picks.
The big picture thing with the Giants was finding the right combination. They've been a train wreck with that. Head coach, GM. They hired Shane, hired Daboll. People, I think, got behind the hires, liked them, right? It made sense.
Absolutely.
Then they go out there and they had the immediate results.
Yeah.
How can you tell me right now, definitively? And again, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's been 6 weeks. I'm not going to dismiss them after just 6 weeks after having a very successful year one. I understand this is a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
However, you've seen it play out here. This is like next level bad. How can you tell me you have the same confidence in Shane and Daboll now as you did prior to last season or after last season?
After last season, no, I'll grant you, it's come down a little bit of a tick here. I'm going to certainly give you that.
And if they finish with 1 or 2 wins, you're going to be like, oh well, yeah, I trust that they're going to get it going.
Well, then I'd have to see how 2024 starts, and if they're 1-4, 1-5, not competitive, then Daboll's got to go. Then we'll get on the air and say that we were wrong, or I'll say I was wrong, or I was a little late to the party. They got the wrong guy. Daboll's got to get fired. Who's coaching? I have no problem saying that. But I'll also say right now, and I really strongly believe this is not to sensationalize anything. This is not a shot. The reality of the Giants situation right now is that the Giants 1-53 without Thomas, for the most part without Barkley this year, what they've trotted out there this year, to me is indisputably one of the 1, 2, or 3 absolute worst rosters in football.
And whose fault is that?
It stinks.
Whose fault is that?
But we're talking about Daboll to start the show. That's why I brought Shane up before.
Okay, but that's fine. But then it's a combination of the two being the guys. And now we're questioning Shane and some of the draft picks. And we know, the difference with the general manager and head coach. General manager, you need years to figure it out.
Correct.
And I don't think it's fair to make an assessment of the head coach in 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. But that's happened plenty of times before. The Giants just did it.
Yeah, what happened with Hackett after 1 year with the Broncos? Sometimes it's so bad that 1 year, the Cardinals a couple of years back, was that Vance Joseph?
Steve Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes,
yeah,
thank you.
Wilkes they fired. Right.
Yeah, if it's bad, you got to do
I think Broncos did it too. But teams do it all the time. Gase was here how many years?
2 years.
That's what I'm saying. So
yep.
You get a couple of years sometimes if you're a head coach. Now, I am not saying that the Giants will or should fire Brian Daboll. What I'm saying is, and for the record, I believe in Daboll. I'm going down with the ship. But I think they're going to win this game. If they don't, my belief in Brian Daboll is no more.